Settlers came to the Kaw Valley over 100 years ago and came to a place called Topeka, a place the Indians called Topeka because in Indian that meant a good place to grow potatoes. But the least thing that they could have thought about was that 100 years later, the city of Topeka would have become the mental health center not only of the United States, but probably of the world. It is one of those great chapters of our state for which we citizens on whose
Mr. Woodring, Dr. Anderson, and our senators and representatives, the members of various service organizations, and many other people too numerous to mention. 10 years ago this fall, there came functionaries from the general offices of the Veterans Administration to Topeka to tell us of a great new program of medical care and medical education planned by its far-seeing leaders, General Bradley and General Hawley, under the direction of President Truman. Their representatives came to our offices here and asked us if we would help them in their point of greatest weakness, that of psychiatric education. They proposed they would try to make use of these old buildings here, as the Army was about to abandon. The staff of the Menninger Foundation would help them in their educational program. We were glad to do this, and we agreed to. The Veterans Administration remodeled the old hospital here, and at the same time began plans for this vision of life, escaping from the shackles of fear and emerging from the shadows of delirium long after all of us here have been laid to rest. For 100 years, the ground upon which we are standing will be consecrated to the relief of suffering and the betterment of human life. My father, who in a sense had some slight responsibility for this new hospital, used to demonstrate to us from my earliest childhood the compartments in the shell of the chambered Nautilus, and to repeat those ringing lines of Oliver Wendell Holmes, which seem to me to be appropriate tonight. Build thee more stately mansions, O my soul, as the swift seasons roll. Leave thy low vaulted past. Let each new temple, nobler than the last, shut thee from heaven with a dome more vast, till thou at length art free, leaving an outgrown shell by life's unresting sea.
This is their hospital. I'm sure that they are looking forward, hopefully, that they'll not be having an opportunity to see how the new one is, but they will be interested, I think, in agreeing or be willing to agree with this suggestion that the construction of this fine new winter hospital is a well-deserved tribute to Dr. Anderson and his staff. And when I say staff, I mean everyone related to the work of the hospital, because of the splendid job they've done in restoring their patients to health and happiness in spite of facilities that are and have been inadequate.
The persistent efforts of Dr. Carl Menninger, as has been mentioned, are certainly worthy of individual and specific mention because he has been our steadfast friend for the past 10 years. Throughout that same period of time, perhaps the additional friend that should be mentioned, a loyal and valued one, has been the Chamber of Commerce and the committee which it has had, which has continually, persistently, and oftentimes in the face of considerable frustration, pressed for the day when this day might be a reality. In that same connection, I think that it is in order to mention that we are indebted to the Chamber of Commerce and to its committee headed by Mr. David Neiswanger for this very ceremony. And I should like to express the appreciation of the hospital as well as my own for the effort which they have given to making this ceremony possible, in addition to all of the other things that they have done in our behalf. When the construction which is started here today is finally completed some 3 years hence, I hope that perhaps the community of Topeka and the state of Kansas may also feel somewhat proud and perhaps somewhat grateful. Proud